This season preview is brought to you by Manscaped's brand new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. This luxurious lather cleanses and nourishes in just one step. Using coconut water, green tea, and aloe, this non-greasy daily formula is naturally hydrating and rich in antioxidants to revitalize the look and feel of your hair. So head on over to manscaped.com and use the promo code SACCITY for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. The new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner from Manscaped. Take care of hair everywhere.
Jacksonville Jaguars. Here we go. All right, here we go. All right, the moment.
I don't have anything to say.
Good, because you're not going to be able to say anything because it's going to be all me and nothing of you. I'm kidding. That's not how this is going to work because I want to get your opinion on these things.
I'm tired of looking at the turd.
Yeah, please take him down. I don't know. I don't think you. Okay, there you go. Baby hands. All right. The Jacksonville Jaguars season preview, offense, defense, what to watch for, odds, schedule, a record prediction, and a preseason power rankings. We start off with the offensive side of the ball, Aaron. Last season, we saw Trevor Lawrence have a pretty standard rookie season, I'd say, with some highs and quite a lot of lows during the brief Urban Meyer era with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The potential with Lawrence is there, though. Former first overall pick, was considered a generational talent coming into the draft out of Clemson. What is the next step, and what would you like to see Trevor Lawrence do this season to reach that next step?
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this a few times on this show. When it comes to young quarterbacks, it's about progression. To me, it's not about winning. When you're a young quarterback, you want to see the steps to where you say that guy's getting better. That guy's going to be the future. Josh Allen, we saw it. Patrick Mahomes came in and did it right away, but you could see the improvement year over year as he kind of went in through the league. So that's what I'm looking for from Trevor Lawrence. It's not about making excuses anymore about Urban Meyer or what kind of offense they're running or anything like that. There's no excuses here. You have Doug Peterson, a Super Bowl coach, who's going to instill an offense that's played well in the NFL, that's been effective in the NFL, both with Kansas City and with Philly. And I think Trevor Lawrence's job is now to just get better. You got to improve on the completion percentage. You have to be accurate. You've been known to be accurate. I've seen those improvements just in preseason on throws, being more decisive, not being afraid, but also being safe with the football, if that makes sense. Little things about reading defenses, picking up on tendencies of defensive players, knowing where you're going to go with the football before you even really get into your drop step or when you start to take that snap. Yes, you should have an idea. You're not staring down a receiver, but you're going through your progressions, and you should know exactly where those defenders are going to be based on the offensive scheme and the defensive positioning that is their pre-snap. So learning the game, the IQ stuff will all translate to less interceptions, higher completion percentage, and then ultimately those things lead to wins as the team continues to get better. So really it's just taking baby steps with Trevor Lawrence. Everybody's such in a rush to say, you have to be a franchise guy right away. No, you don't. You have to prove that you are getting better every year. And I'm going to go way off topic, but I do this with my son who played baseball his whole life. And since he was 8 years old, all we've talked about is, I don't care if you're not the superstar Bryce Harper kid that's 12, that's hitting bombs over the fence. If every year you look back on the previous year and you said, you know what, I got better and I'm better than I was last year. Because at some point in time, most players peak and they stop getting better and they just are who they are. The superstars are constantly evolving and constantly getting better. You can talk about any industry, any profession, any athlete. Tom Brady is playing at 45, not because he got great and just stayed great. He got better year in and year out. There was always something he could learn. He could change. He can adjust. I equate this to everything in life. And I think that's what we have to look for from these young quarterbacks is, are they getting better? If they stop getting better, and they go like this, it's done. It's over. They're not going to be the great quarterback that you thought they were going to be. They have to show that they are improving.
At what point do we say we want to start seeing Trevor Lawrence win the Jacksonville Jaguars games, like being the difference maker to win them these games? I mean, not to make the comparison to what we just talked about with Carson Wentz, but like these expectations on these young quarterbacks, they are there. Especially with Trevor Lawrence being the generational talent that we thought and hoped he would be coming into the draft. At what point do we start saying, okay, Trevor, you have to start going out there and winning it? Like, 'cause to me, and maybe this, and correct me if I'm wrong, and yell at me if you want, but to me, I want to start seeing Trevor Lawrence be the difference maker in games. Maybe not a winning record this season or whatever, but like I want to see the wins that the Jacksonville Jaguars have this year, at least one or two of them, be because of Trevor Lawrence.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think that's an appropriate expectation, but I will never be comfortable saying that about any quarterback until there's a roster surrounding that quarterback with a team that's talented enough to win. And I think that Jacksonville's heading in that direction this year. Like I do. We look at last year's team and we had expectations, but they were so young. They didn't have a clue what was going on. They weren't going to win any games. I don't care how good Trevor Lawrence played last year. They weren't going to win games because they did not have a roster that was good enough to win games. And so now when you start to see things put in place, you get a new head coach, somebody that has a track record of winning. Okay, you go and get a veteran receiver like Christian Kirk, who has played in an organization in Arizona that's won some games. And you start to bring in guys like that. And then you go out and draft hungry rookies that have talent. And when you can look as a Jacksonville fan, this is what I would say. When you look at that depth chart in that roster, and you can say, man, we got talent everywhere. We got talent everywhere. The first word is talent everywhere. Then you start saying, okay, what is my quarterback doing to win us games? Because remember, we love, and I don't mean to bring this name up because he's been in the media. We love Deshaun Watson. Last time we seen Deshaun Watson, he went 4-12 and threw and was the number 1 rated passer in the NFL, led the league in passing, was the highest efficient rated passer we had seen in a long time. And they went 4-12 or whatever it was. And we don't look at Deshaun Watson and say, hey, that's on you. We looked at the rest of that roster and was like, look, man, this guy can't do it with this roster, because when he had a roster, we seen he was in the playoffs. So that's the difference, is we just have to be realistic as fans and say, look, now Jacksonville has a decent roster. Maybe next year it's even better. Then you start attaching more expectations to Trevor, saying, hey, you got dudes now. You got to go out and find ways to win. And that's when I'll say he's either got it or he doesn't. I will be very, very disappointed if we end this season and Trevor Lawrence is 12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, 15-15. Like, if there's not an improvement, I'm going to be worried. I'm going to be a little bit worried. Like, they got to figure it out. They got to figure it out. And I know it's a first year in a new system and a new coach and all that stuff. And that always sucks. But look at Alex Smith. Alex Smith did this, 7 years of it, and then he got good when he got stability. So I'm hoping Doug Peterson brings that.
I think that, you kind of almost alluded to this before, is that like it's almost like this year is Trevor Lawrence's rookie year all over again. Like this is the first, like this is we're washing away what happened in that first year with Urban Meyer, and like in the back of my head, I'm like, man, like with quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, like are we just making this excuse for Trevor Lawrence? Like, is this what is like? I just don't want that to be the thing with Trevor Lawrence here. But I think that
they are valid at times. Again, excuses are not. I hate excuses as much as the next person, but sometimes there's validity when you're in a toxic situation. Alex Smith, I always bring this up. He was in a toxic situation. He had 7 new offensive coordinators and head coaches during that time, and he never sat right. And the minute he got some stability with Harbaugh, and then when they finally went to Kaepernick, going to Andy Reid, Alex Smith was a different player. And he wasn't a world beater. He didn't turn out to be the greatest quarterback ever, but you looked at that guy and said, we can win with that guy. And they won. They went to AFC playoffs. They won playoff games. And I think that's what you're looking for in Trevor Lawrence. You're saying, hey, you are given us kind of a second rookie season because of everything that happened last year. And we brought in more talent. We paid some guys. We opened the wallet. We expect you to show us something. And that something doesn't have to be 10 wins.
And that's why I do think that I think this season is the year that with what the offseason moves, it's like, okay, I want to see you go out there and win us be the difference maker, because this is not the same offense that was filled with special teamers last year. This is a team that Christian Kirk, even Zay Jones has experience in the end, Marvin Jones too. This is a team that has talent now. Go out and win us some football games. On the defensive side of the ball, you bring in Trayvon Walker. You bring in Devin Lloyd. You go out and draft Devin Lloyd.
Just say it.
They got some Chad Muma. Can't forget Chad
Muma.
Hey. They keep replaying the Jags Steelers game on NFL Network. And today I got to watch it again, and I saw the almost interception that he had. I'm like, And Chad Moon was going to be that dude. Chad Moon was going to be a dude. He's going to be like a consistent. I'm not going to get into that.
He will be a long-time starting linebacker in this league. Watch.
Agreed.
It's why I told you they should take him over Nakobe Dean.
And I have you know me, I have switched up on that. I've seen the light, but you said something during our training camp preview show with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I wish I pulled up the video, but I don't have it. You said the Jacksonville Jaguars will have a borderline top 10 defense this coming season. If that were to be the case, what needs to happen for the Jags to have a top 10 defense?
Did I say that?
You did.
Did?
Yep.
Sure.
Positive.
I know one thing. I don't remember how I ranked them as far as the defense. I know my word for word what I actually said that I know of for sure. I may have said that, but I said the Jaguars will be the most improved defense in the NFL. I know I said that. And I firmly believe that. If I ranked them in the top, saying they can get into the top 10, hey, so be it. And the reason I'm so excited about their defense is the talent that they've added. And it's strictly from a talent perspective. When you talk about guys like a Darius Williams, a Devin Lloyd, a Trayvon Walker, a Chad Muma, Foya Sada, Aluakon, I can't never say his first name. They've added so much talent defensively that I think it's going to just breed success. Like, I think they were so bad, and obviously they couldn't stop anybody, and they're going to get going. And maybe it's a slower start to the season, but I think ultimately this defense, you will see, will turn the page, and they will be one of the better defenses in football. It's not going to be 2017 or whatever when they were,
Jacksonville, baby.
Yeah, it's not going to be that. I'm not saying that, but when you talk about a team being really, really bad and then being really, really good, I think that's where you come in. That's where this comes into play. I think they're going to be so much more improved than they were last year, and I think that's huge. I think it's big for them. I think they were a bottom 10 or 12 defense in yards given up. They need the defense to be good, and I think they're going to be a lot better this year. Super improved. And I'm excited. I honestly am super excited to watch Jacksonville's defense take the field this year.
Yeah. Let's let us travel back in time to what you actually said during that training camp show. And what you're about to see, ladies and gentlemen watching on YouTube, you're about to see the format of our YouTube shorts and our Instagram reels. If you have not been able to check any of those out, head on over to YouTube now or our Instagram page. Check out those shorts. Give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. But here it is.
Hopefully they can stay healthy. I do like the revampedness, and I think it's going to be a new look defense. And I'll be honest, I haven't been this excited for a defense since we had everybody back in 2018-19.
There's a lot of potential there.
Potential turns into reality. I'll tell you right now, I think the biggest jump in the NFL is the Jaguars defense. I don't think you talked about the tackling, and they didn't just go out and get guys that tackle. They went out and got dogs that tackle.
Yeah, guys.
We're talking about Aluakon, who, again, led the league in tackles. A tackling machine, doesn't miss tackles very often. Chad Muma was a tackling machine in college. Devin Lloyd is just an all-around playmaker. And then you add that, obviously, with the number 1 overall pick in Trayvon Walker, who is going to be designed to get to the quarterback more so than play in space. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars defense takes the biggest stride out of any team in the league on the defensive side of the football.
Ah, damn, you didn't say top 10.
I know what I say, man. I'm a very consistent person.
I think what I did was I captioned it top 10 defense on social media to try and
I'm a very consistent individual. I try to be as consistent as possible, but I do change if things need to be changed. But it really doesn't take away from the fact that you're trying to say. I do believe the Jaguars defense takes a huge step forward, and that might catapult them into the top 10. I will say the same thing about their defense that I bring up with a lot of teams that have the talent, don't get into that top 10. It could be because of that offense. If that offense doesn't get to where we think they can get, then that defense is on the field again, and that causes a lot of problems. But there are many times there could be great defenses that aren't ranked in the top 10 because their offense doesn't provide them that opportunity to not be on the field all the time. So I'm really excited about the Jaguars defense. I've said it. I will be consistent about saying that. I really like what they've done at going to get talent in key positions. And I think they have a chance to be special in the next couple of years if they can keep everybody together.
Yeah. I think this season, when it comes to like what to watch for with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I want to kind of build off of what we just talked about with this defense, is I want to see some consistency in tackling. And I wish I had a stat to prove this and to kind of back this up, but I cannot find a stat that shows missed tackles for the defenses. But last season, if you were watching Jaguars games, too many times you saw a lot of just missed tackles, blown up plays. I mean, you can look back at all the Derrick Henry 99-yard touchdown runs and the poor tackling that came with that. Obviously,
you want me to give
Henry.
You the answer?
Yes.
Oh wait, is this? No, never mind. I don't have it. I thought
Fantastic. So while maybe you get that, I think that tackles per game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, they ranked 12th in tackles per game. It's probably because they were on defense a whole lot of the time. But my point being is I'm watching for this Jacksonville Jaguars defense to make plays and get stops and get off the field. Like, there are too many times where you watch these Jaguar games and it's like a third and they force like a third and long, a third and distance, maybe 3rd and 7. And then the offenses just stay on the field and pick up those first downs because of missed tackling or blown up plays. I want to see this defense go out and make the plays. We have not seen it since 2017. And we've talked about it before. This Jaguars team, the front office made sure this year to invest in the best possible tacklers to be on this team, whether it's Chad Muma, Devin Lloyd, Foye Oluokun. Like, those are the guys that they brought in specifically for tackling. I am watching for this team, and I feel so stupid for saying this right now. Like, what you're watching for. I'm looking for this team to tackle. Like, that's what I'm looking for. But it is.
Well, I can tell you they weren't last.
Thanks.
They weren't last. Detroit was ranked last. Detroit had 75 missed tackles last year.
Got it.
So they weren't last.
Thanks.
Better than last.
That's what I'm watching for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's get into the odds for the Jags. And again, I told you before when we were talking about the Commanders, I had a slightly hard time finding some plus money with these teams, and there's no plus money at all for the Jacksonville Jaguars betting lines right now. So under 6.5 wins at -120. This was at -110 for both of these. Over under 14.5 Trevor Lawrence interceptions, and then rookie pass rusher Trayvon Walker to have over 6.5 sacks at -125. Really, I wanted to kind of get your lock on this, but also discuss the Trevor Lawrence interceptions and what you think you're going to see from Lawrence this year. 17 interceptions last year, obviously. The line's at 14.5. What's your lock, and what are your thoughts on that?
My lock is the Trayvon Walker, and it's crazy that it's paying the least amount of money. That means Vegas they like what they're seeing from Trayvon Walker. Like, having -125 money from a rookie to go 7 sacks. That's rare. But I do like it. I think I told you how I think they're going to use him. I know he's versatile and he can play inside, outside. I think they're going to tell this man, I don't care what you do on the field. Have tunnel vision. Your job is to get to the quarterback. And with a freak athlete like that, I think he's going to get there a number of times. So I will take the over there. And I know it's not paying great money, but I just like it. I also think Trevor Lawrence does go under that interception total. I don't think he throws that many this year. I think Doug Peterson's going to put him in good situations, and he's going to find a way to protect the football a little bit better than he did last year. So I would take the under on that as well.
Okay. All right. I do like the trade. That would be my lock, is the Trayvon Walker sacks one. I think he's going to be a freak pass rusher, and it's definitely something the Jaguars have needed for a little bit now. When we look at the schedule for this team, though, neither of us took the lock on the record. But what are you looking forward to most with this team? What do you think the defining part of the Jacksonville Jaguars schedule will be this year?
I kind of want to take this a different direction, Vinny. I apologize, but I don't know that there's a defining part for the Jaguars. I am looking for as they play this schedule, I'm looking for competing and seeing what kind of games they're having against teams that they shouldn't beat. when they go play the Broncos and the Chargers and the Colts, maybe in this, maybe not the Colts because it's a division game, but some of these out of division games, Baltimore's, Kansas City's, are they getting shellacked like a team that's like normal teams that get beat that are 4 and whatever or 3 and whatever? Are they getting whooped, or are you looking at them like they didn't win that game and maybe they're not a better team than Kansas City or whatever? But it's like Kansas City had to take it into the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left and, go down and score once or twice and finally beat them. Like, I'm looking for the small things that really don't pop out in a box score, that don't show up when you just turn on ESPN highlights. Like, if you're sitting down and watching the game, that's what I'm looking for. I want to see Jacksonville compete in a different way. I watched some games last year with Jacksonville in it, and there were times I'm like, oh my God, that's the most boring football I've ever watched. And from the NFL perspective, there were times it was rough. And I don't want to see, I want to look at them and be like, honestly, some of what I saw from Houston last year, like, man, that team ain't good at all, but they were fighting and they had no talent, and Jacksonville has talent. And I think when you find yourself in those type of games, in those situations, sometimes that talent is going to prevail and those losses might turn into wins if you're in those situations. So that's what I'm looking for as far as the schedule, trying to pinpoint what games are going to matter. Let's be honest. I don't have Jacksonville making the playoffs. So the games, individual games, parts of the season don't matter. It's how you play throughout the season is what I'm really looking at.
You're looking for those gauge games. I feel like that's like the way to like some of like you're looking at for those gauge games to like say, okay, like gauging where the Jacksonville Jaguars are at when they play the big dogs, like where this team's development is when like the Chiefs and when the Cowboys come to town when we go to that game in December.
Yeah, we're gonna slap you around.
Hey, without Tyron Smith, Trayvon Walker's gonna eat. That's gonna be on his back all day. And you guys still might win. But all right, let's get into our record predictions here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you have them going this season?
Yeah, I told you I might surprise you, and the surprise comes because I've talked so highly about them, but I still don't have them winning a lot of games. So I have Jacksonville. I'm sorry, I have them going 4-13, and this isn't about anything other than I don't know with the improvements that the record really improves. And there's a lot of toss-up games that I might be wrong about, but I went the other side. I went at Jets. I went with the Jets. At Detroit, I went with Detroit. Again, playing those games on the road is tough. If they were in Jacksonville, those were probably wins for me. So toss-up games, I usually go with the home team. So that could change from a 4-win season to a 6 or 7-win season just based on that alone. Also at Houston, I have them splitting with Houston. I have them splitting with Indy, and I have them splitting with Tennessee, which is division games. So those 3 wins in the division, and then the one division outside of division win I have is the New York Giants, which is at home as well. And again, this is probably more so my tendencies to just pick home teams in tough games or toss-up games. And I have them going 4-13, but it would not shock me. And I will put a caveat on it. If they are a team that's at 7-8 wins, it wouldn't. I really believe they can get to that point.
I would be very happy about that. I'm not going to say no to it. I have them at 5-11, and I think I would have them at 5. I think I have them at 5-11. I would have 5.
You're going to have a tie?
5-12. Yeah, 5-12. Sorry. I have the Jaguars at 5-12, but I really got to be honest with myself and could possibly bump that down to 4-11. Jesus Christ. 4-13. Math is hard right now. Math is really hard. 5-12 is my record. They could be 4-13 because my one of my wins is coming against the Dallas Cowboys in week 15 because, well, that's a big game for everybody involved. But realistically, that's where they're at, around that 4-13 range, which is good.
And it doesn't mean it was a bad season. Like, it doesn't mean it was a failure of a season. Like, people have to realize that they are rebuilding. They are looking for small improvements in certain areas. And if they get those, all it takes is that one season to go from that 4-13, 5-12, and next thing you know, you're 10-7.
I will say this. Kicking is going to be another issue, Jaguars fans. Make sure you are prepared.
Kicking is an issue for most teams.
That. Kicking is going to be a defined, like, The Jaguars have had I'm not going to get into it. Kicking's going to be
go for it on fourth down. Like
I'm okay with that.
Kickers suck on every team unless you're the Bills, the Chiefs, the Baltimore. We don't have a kicker in Dallas.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? Like, kickers suck.
You guys got rid of your kicker. You had Greg the Leg at one point. You got rid of him
again. Because kickers suck. They're recyclable. Just go find a guy that can kick. Go get a soccer player, some 80-pound man who has the big leg. Like, who cares?
Disrespectful. All right, let's get into the power rankings for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Where do they fall?
Yeah, so obviously you have them a little higher than I do because you got mad at me in the private chat. But the Jacksonville Jaguars are gonna struggle a little bit. We have them at number 27 on our list. Again, we talked about the improvements needed to see from Trevor Lawrence, the addition of Doug Peterson coming in with a new offense, a new style, a new scheme, and how effective that's going to be. And then the defensive side of the football, we expect improvements. But how is that going to translate, obviously, into wins? It might not. So we have them at number 27, the Jaguars, number 27 on our preseason power rankings.